All right, Frank Lavinia here, and a little bit about myself. My name is Frank Lavinia, and you can catch me at the following URLs: franksworld.com, datadriven.tv, and impactquantum.com. Speaking of Data Driven is the podcast that Andy and I have. Let me drop this. Let me drop that. Um, Data Driven is the podcast that Andy Letter and I have, and we focus on kind of artificial intelligence, data science, data engineering, machine learning, and all of the things that kind of are attached to that. And today we actually uploaded our 300th episode. So, yay, us. Let me share my screen there. We had a great interview with Rupesh Malpani. And you can check that out here. But this is show number 300. So, been about 5 years, 6 seasons. This is show 300, season 6, episode 1. Very excited about this. Very proud of this. It was a fun interview. We actually recorded another interview that'll be out next week, and some good stuff. Good stuff here. But today, dear viewer, is not about data driven. Today is Monday, and you know what that means. All right, so today's Monday, and everyone knows how big I am here on alliterations. There's Metaverse Mondays, there's data driven, impact quantum. Didn't really get that one right, but when I get it right, I am a big fan of alliterations. So here's something that was there's a fly kind of interrupting the live stream, and you can see him right there on the microphone. All right, as long as he stays away from my face, I'm good. All right, so we tend to think of virtual reality, headsets, that sort of thing, as a very new phenomenon, when in fact, they're actually kind of old. I mean, going back to the 90s, kind of old, before when, not only when Kurt Cobain was still alive, but before he was famous, old. So here's an interesting video. There's that fly again. Just can't win from losing sometimes. All right, so here's a video, and he's basically showing you. He's right there. What it's like to put on this helmet, kind of grab and manipulate stuff. And this is from 1991, so over 30 years ago. And I think this is one of those examples of this is a technology that's not new. But if you look at the headset and the gear that he has, how cumbersome it is. And I don't know what systems like this would have cost at the time. The rendering system to do this would have been, I mean, no exaggeration, probably $1 million. Adjusted for inflation, definitely $1 million. But what they're showing here is this futuristic, future-facing type technology, what you can do, explore virtual worlds, take these things and manipulate them. And I think they're going to have him kind of go around Mars. But if you look at that, most of you kids have probably never even seen a monitor like that. That's a cathode ray tube monitor. And check this post out. I'll reshare it on my account. But it's a fascinating look at, kind of back to the future, so to speak, like back to how we thought the future would be. And if you look, a lot of the things have stayed the same. The headset, some kind of contraption on your hands. But what's interesting, what's really changed here is the cost of it. For 3-4, I think they raised the price. So let's say under $500, you can get an Oculus Rift that has all of this computing kind of built into it. And that first demo where he's grabbing stuff and putting it up in the air, I've done that. I've done that in Horizon Venues. I've done that in the World Creation Engine. So this is definitely something that's it's not new, but I think for it to be practical, for this to be usable, it takes time to build this out. So I don't think I'm sharing my audio. But basically what they're talking about is they're talking about how this is the future, and and all this wonderful stuff. Um, it's just amazing to see how this has evolved. And my first VR experience in person was at the South Street Seaport in New York. Not 1991, but maybe 93, 92, 93. And it was $5 to like go on this thing where you went around and kind of it was like capture the flag type thing. But you had this huge thing on. Um, you were like on a treadmill, I think. So I mean, it's interesting. You see this and like this is really in a lot of ways come to fruition. And it's fascinating to kind of see kind of what they thought this would look like. And as this post kind of points out, well, this was 30 years ago. We can imagine what VR experiences will be like in 30 years. Um, Although I think in this particular example, the it's taken time for the technology, I think, to really catch on. And I've been involved in VR in some form or the other since VRML. Hey, Rupesh, man of the hour. How are you, sir? Definitely go check out datadriven.tv or listen to Data Driven wherever you listen to podcasts. We did a great interview with Rupesh where we did at least touch upon holograms. So this is pretty interesting. Like it's just this is what you probably weren't born when this video was made, Rupesh, but it's interesting. So I had that type of thing, and I think this might be demoing. Yeah, this was it. This was the game I played, and you see, there's only like a minute or two that you get on, you play it, but you kind of go through this virtual space, and what's funny? This screen here looks an awful lot like one of the games in Roblox my kids play called Bed Wars. That's interesting. Yeah, this is the game I played. You go around with a joystick like that and you shoot people. Wow, this takes me back. Can I expand this? What does that look like? I have full screen on this. Minimize myself. Yeah, that takes me back. Oh, that's crazy. I don't remember that happening. I mean, it is fascinating to kind of see, you have to wonder how many thousands of dollars worth of equipment it took to make that. And here it is. We have the Oculus Rift that can kind of do that, and I'm sure there's other things too. But Oculus definitely has the name recognition. Apple's probably coming up with that. But yeah, man, I mean that's pretty fascinating to see how this works out. And here's Rupesh. Yes, 2 podcasts. So this guy, man, he's not only in our podcast, but he's in some other guys' podcast that went live today. I would say for you, Rupesh, August has started off with a big boom, that's for sure. And but yeah, old school Uncharted. Yeah, I don't think I played it back then. I don't think I played Uncharted back then. But yes, our episode is live. Definitely check him out. Datadriven.tv. I don't know. AI Remix is the other show you're on. I caught a few minutes of it. Really good. But I just think it's important when it comes to it's your podcast. AI Remix is you. Oh, I thought you were a guest on that. My mistake. Hey, Mohammed, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for stopping by. We're just reveling in this kind of how this video from 1991 shows the future of AI. I mean VR, and okay, it's like old school Uncharted. Got it. Okay, got it. That makes sense. But literally, like this thing here, where you're picking up stuff and you're just kind of like floating it in space like that randomly. There's a way to do that in there. Okay, so there's the URL. I'll be sure to link it to it. I already got it queued up the blog tomorrow. But yeah, AI Remix -X. A little bit of that Elon Musk thing going on, right? Add the X to it. SpaceX, that sort of thing. But it's amazing. And here's this guy. You know it's an old tech demo when they're wearing ties in the demo. Obviously, they talk about all the things that are possible. This is the thing that reminds you of what's it called? What's it called? Oh, Old School Uncharted. That's it. Cool, man. That's cool. My your chair has an X written on it too. That's funny. X marks the spot. That's funny. Yeah, this was cool. I remember playing this at the South Street Seaport, and you basically had like a little. They show you in the video. They had like a little thing, and it was right around. It was very Lawnmower Man was still kind of like the thing in VR. It's before the Matrix, and this guy gets pulled out of it. That's pretty cool. It's an interesting demo, and it's interesting to show. I'm both optimistic on VR and pessimistic at the same time. I've been around VR long enough. Like I remember messing around with VRML version 1 and then waiting for the version 2 spec to come out, which then Apple kind of took it over. And then that kind of went nowhere. And then Adobe Atmosphere kind of was the thing. And then Adobe killed it because they wanted to integrate the 3D experience into PDFs. I don't know about you, but I've not seen a PDF with any kind of 3D objects in it. I have PowerPoint that you can insert 3D kind of mixed reality stuff into, but I have yet to see how they did this PDF. So I would love for Adobe to kind of bring those tools back. They do have some mixed reality tools and stuff that you have to pay extra if you're on the subscription. The 90 VR thing, hey, Mohammed, VR thing is crazy. Never thought VR was with us all this time. Yeah, I mean, it was my first time seeing VR on TV, not in person, not even in the movies, was somebody had like a goggle and they kind of were walking through this cube thing and like they could go like move it around and it would move. Yeah. All right, safe travels, Rupesh. I'll probably be off the stream in 20 minutes, but definitely stay in touch. Yeah, not even hidden, right? It's just it's there, but it's not practical. Rupesh is leaving, but he has this thing where he's kind of made his own hologram type thing, and we were talking about this. We will try. You have a Holo fans update of sorts. We will try Bailey on that. Cool. So this stuff was possible. I had a Macintosh, I think it was a 2SI, that I had some kind of VR software thing that you can kind of go through. It took forever. It hogged the entire CPU. It basically bogged it down. But you're right in the sense that what's possible today is not practical today. It's practical tomorrow. VR is the same thing. Augmented reality or mixed reality, whatever we're calling it, was not something that could have been done back then because you need to do several things, right? You need to track position in real time and capture video input from a camera and then superimpose that based on the position, based on some rendering of some object. I think computers in the 90s could do maybe one of those at a time, but certainly not three. So I think you're right in the sense that, what's possible versus what's practical. So that VR type solution, I mean, you'll notice, I mean, those graphics are not going to win any awards in like, the 2020s. They're not horrible, actually. This one's actually surprisingly good. But if you go forward to this game thing here, you're not going to win any kind of cutting edge awards. But I mean, that was cutting edge. Not only did it have to be rendered, but it had to be rendered in real time. And if you didn't sync up right, you would actually get motion sickness from the headset. So a lot of thought went into that. Cheers, Rupesh. Safe travels. But you're right. I mean, it is pretty crazy when you consider that. So it's the same thing when Rupesh says this thing that he's built with like holograms and a projector and things like that. That's possible today with some expertise, some tweaking and stuff like that, and specialized hardware. But in terms of it happening in a way that, you're right though. Like 20 years from now, you could probably go down to the store or probably order it on Amazon, and then the drone will drop it off at your house. And it will, give you like this little holo projector machine, or maybe your entire room becomes like a holo, projected thing. Funny. I bring that up because when I was in, yeah, The only differentiators today. Yeah, plus the fact that you can have a wireless device, like, the Oculus uses Wi-Fi and it's completely wireless. It's on battery. It's a pretty good setup. Same thing with HoloLens. Um, but what's interesting is, the Microsoft used to have this thing at what they call their executive briefing center out in Redmond. And what was interesting about that, they would always do like the home of the future, or what the homes would look like in 10, 20 years. And there was this one rendition of this was, basically everything was like all wired up with smart electricity, smart wires and stuff like that. But what they did was you can kind of change the ambiance of the room based on, and it would project like, tropical plants or snow or whatever based on certain things. And that was kind of very future facing and things like that. You can do that. You can rig that up yourself today with Alexa and the smart lights and all these things. So that is possible. It's not practical. It would have to be a custom install. And you have to do it. I think it's the same thing. But yeah, I mean, we have more advanced hardware now, but we also have more advanced demands. Consumers are used to a much better graphic experience. That video there, was a little blocky by 90s computer graphics standards, but the fact that you can actually be in it and immersed in it, that was still a relatively new concept. I don't even think Doom was out yet, or at Castle Wolfenstein might have been out, and that was, and it was interesting because this kind of was the harbinger of 3D shooters, first person shooters, whatever you want to call them. But it's interesting. It would be a cool project. It'd be totally cheesy, but to like write up like some game like this, but for the Oculus, that would be cool. That would be cool. Look like, or Quest, whatever, Meta Quest or whatever they call it now. That would be cool to kind of like have like a retro thing going on, or redo the game with like better graphics. All right, so with that, I'm going to end the stream. I want to say thank you. This has been Metaverse Mondays, and you've been watching Frank's World TV. Roll end credits. Oh, before I go, though, I want to thank Rupesh and Mohammed for commenting live. If you're watching this on the replay, put in #replay and let me know what you'd like to see on Metaverse Mondays. Wow, that's another blooper. Metaverse Mondays.